Good morning, everybody. Here we go. We're going to talk on the last section of topic 9, and we're going to see not just how the group influences us as individuals, but how we as individuals can affect the group. So, how can an individual influence a group? Well, number one, consistency. If a minority, if even one, right? I mean, a minority or a small number over and over and over say the same thing, never change, then it's very possible that the group will follow. Being very confident is very helpful. So if you want to influence a group, it is best to sit like at the head of the table, right? Someplace prominent and very confident. All right, you don't have to know what you're talking about. You just got to act like you do, right? Um, and a persistent minority, what it does is see often remember we had talked about pluralistic ignorance repeatedly. The idea that when you're in a group, everybody, since nobody's saying I don't think it's a good idea, everybody's like, well, I guess it's a good idea. Okay, and so what happens is this minority that persistently is different from the group can clearly influence a group by breaking that pluralistic ignorance. But really, this particular presentation is about leadership, okay? Because leadership in many ways is like influence over the group by not a minority but an individual person, one. So we find that, and in fact, here just as a side note, I also have some IO psychology videos posted online on my YouTube account, and in there I will have done a bigger presentation on leadership than in this particular section. So anyway, leadership, a social process through which an individual intentionally exerts influence over others. We find that what makes effective leaders is really based on the outcomes, right? In other words, how many products did you produce and how much money did you make? All right. Well, all leadership has as its core power. Okay. No, this isn't from experimental psychology power. It's a different power. Don't get too excited out there. So we'll come back to the power question at the end of this presentation. But first, let's kind of talk about the types of leaders, different ways. You can have an autocratic leader. An autocratic leader is one that makes the decisions from above, doesn't ask for any input from anybody underneath. Um, the workers or the people underneath need the leader. Without the leader, they can't function. Okay, it can create demotivation and alienation. Yeah, I've seen this happen. It's just there are certain situations where autocratic leadership is probably an effective thing. Okay, but there are also situations like at universities where autocratic leadership styles are just not a good idea. Okay, so again, if in you need really fast decisions made like that. Okay, and so we find that yes, yes, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, is in fact an autocratic leader, and he believes that he can take his autocratic leadership style and implement it as President of the United States. I said it. Okay. Democratic leaders, they want decision making from different perspectives, and that makes sense. I mean, the the president of the university, for example, probably doesn't know what's going on inside of a classroom, and so the president of the university should probably, talk to faculty members because they're the ones that actually know what's going on. I mean, that's what it is. This notion, let's bring in people that know their side and their side in consultation, um, and it's kind of a persuasive thing. So we find democratic leaders can be really motivational. They can create involved workers, people that are really into it. The workers feel ownership, this is mine, or loyalty even, right? Heck, I mean patriotism. I pledge allegiance. No, well, but patriotism of sorts, right? School spirit. I don't know what you're going to call it. Okay, and so it really is powerful in a lot of ways, but it does in fact delay decisions. Yes, it does. It takes longer to make decisions. A laissez-faire leader. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to work. Laissez-faire is from the French for let it be or something like that. So everybody sort of shares in the responsibilities. It's again depending on the context. In creative environments like web design or something like that, yeah, it's not bad. Everybody's motivated, everybody has control, but it's hard to coordinate. Okay, because if you don't have a top-down approach, who do you report to, right? And somebody has to be in charge. We're going to talk about the power structure here coming up, but you kind of have to have a power structure for any of these relationships to actually proceed. So you can get it if you have really good teamwork, but it can be very difficult. It was not the one. Paternalistic leaders. You do it because I said so. That's the answer, right? Paternalistic leaders make the decisions. They might consult, but probably not. Okay, and so it's just, I don't know. Again, it's probably useful with certain types of workers or something. So leadership can also be looked at, not just leadership styles, but task, social, and transformational leadership. So task leadership is leadership that organizes on the work itself. It sets standards. It focuses on goals. Where social leadership is more about offering support and mediating conflict, relationships, teamwork, this kind of thing. Transformational leadership, on the other hand, is like having, well, I guess I'll slip one of the things out from later. Have a vision, okay? Have a bigger. See, task and social leadership is kind of sort of like just putting out fires. Problems happen, fix them. Problems happen, fix them. Problems happen, fix them. Let's keep on task. Whereas transformation leaders says, I have a vision of what we want to look like 20 years down the road. Okay, and in order to do that, today what we need to do is, and goals and sub goals and visions. Okay? Some of the most famous transformational leaders could have involved Lenin. Yeah, just because it's a good and influential leadership style doesn't mean it's good and ethical. Okay, so we've got Nehru, who was the first prime minister of independent India, I believe. And Martin Luther King, you all know Martin Luther King, and then Hitler. So just because somebody's got transformational leadership style isn't mean it's a good thing. It just means it's effective at, leading, controlling behavior. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll come back to it. Okay, a leadership story. I like that. A group of workers and their leaders are set a task of clearing a road through a dense jungle on a remote island to get to the coast where an estuary provides a perfect site for a port. The leaders organize the labor into efficient units and monitor the distribution and use of capital assets, and progress is excellent. The leaders continue to monitor and evaluate progress, making adjustments along the way to ensure the progress is maintained and efficiency increased wherever possible. Then one day, amidst all the hustle and bustle and activity, one person climbs up a nearby tree. The person surveys the scene from the top of the tree and shouts down, wrong way. OMG. So this little story kind of says, look, managers do the right thing. Leadership does things the right way. Okay, is doing the right thing. Whatever. There it is. So we can break apart, some distinctions between what would be a manager and what would be a leader. So managers focus on leaders focus on people, right? Managers focus on doing things right. Leaders focus on doing the right things. So you can see that leaders will motivate, influence, inspire. Okay? The workers under a leader are far more efficient than the workers under a manager. Okay. Great leaders lead by example. Yeah, I've heard that the best military officers in history have always been those that are willing to jump out front with the soldiers, with the frontline soldiers, and go. And they really inspire that way, right? Come on, didn't we all see Braveheart? So, go look at it before Mel Gibson got crazy. Okay. They develop a winning strategy or a big idea, like I said, a vision or something like this. You have management teams. You have to have management teams, but managers are not leaders. flexible and responsible organization. Yeah, it's got to be able to change in response to the currents. You might have a vision of what you want to be, and you have tasks, goals and sub goals to get there. But if you're starting to achieve your goals and you're seeing it's just not going the way it's supposed to be, you need to go back to your master plan and perhaps change. Okay, and you also need to know that what was your your vision for 20 years in the future 5 years ago might not be your vision anymore, because you might have a different set of workers or a different social environment or something of this nature. So always, a great leader will always be flexible and responsive and able to, yeah, here. So what are some of the traits of a good leader? Well, number one, most good leaders are, in fact, more intelligent than average. They tend to be very smart. They have a lot of knowledge. They've been highly educated. They're able to actually get things done. Yeah, that's an important thing. How do you get things done? You start doing them. Right? That's the answer. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of relationship between physical traits and leadership, but I have seen some sources say that taller people make better leaders, or that is, people respond better to taller leaders, something of this nature. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert on it. What kind of personality characteristics? Verbal fluency, very, very good communicator. Tend to be honest. Initiative. Yeah, they start things. As I said, how do you get a job done? You start it. Okay. They can be aggressive, but aggressive does not necessarily mean violent. Right? Aggressive meaning get it moving, get it going, something like that. Self-confident, ambitious, I like this. Sociable, nice, sociable. So, in order to be a good leader, one of the most important things you can do is empower your workers. Okay, we hear this word empower all the time, and so what does it kind of mean? Giving the workers or employees ownership, right? Letting them feel that they own it. So let the workers fail, as long as they're not going to, actually hurt themselves or something. And this is kind of like how you raise a child, right? You let them fail to as much as they can, so they find the answer for themselves rather than be told from above. So now they own their work behavior. Their work behavior was not imposed upon them, they created it themselves. Okay? Leaders ask for suggestions and lets employees make decisions. Yeah, just because a leader has a suggestion box doesn't mean that they're empowering, especially if they don't do anything from the suggestion box. So, empowerment is a lot easier in a smaller organization, of course. Here, leaders create a vision. Okay, vision must be something in the future, more than just today. Our goal is make 19 widgets. Okay, vision inspires. If you have a vision, a long plan, look at where we can go. It should be clear as well. I mean, we shouldn't have 20 years from now we'll be a bigger organization. No, we're going to have a very specific, clear path, a goal in mind. Okay, and so it's really a powerful thing, because when you have a vision, it commits people. As I said, a vision can create almost a sense of patriotism, right, or pride. A vision can create meaning in workers' lives, and I mean this is important. Boy, if you want to know some of this stuff, go and check out some of my industrial organizational psychology videos, because a happy worker is a good worker. I mean, if you can get a worker that feels that they're fulfilling their purpose in life, I mean, think like Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, fulfilling your purpose through your work. Oh my God, you'll have an employee that will stay forever and give you their all. Okay, so it establishes a high standard of excellence, right? I mean, and that excellence should hopefully rub off on the individual workers and create an intrinsic motivation of sorts in the workers. So we can see that good leaders do so much, but again, in my IO psychology lectures, I'll have a much larger explanation here. All right, so have a good day and get ready for that next exam. All right, talk to you later.